A point on power, an excerpt from The Mark and the Market. Part 1. Cowardice has been misinterpreted for strength and power for centuries. Real power is based in self-control. To be clear, the most powerful thing is emotion, and what's more powerful than emotion is emotional regulation. People make billion-dollar decisions off of emotions every day. Decisions that can destroy and decisions that can be socially beneficial may be equally derived from emotions. In legal settings, juries determine verdicts based on emotions. Large commercial companies develop entire marketing strategies to either speak to a person's emotions or manipulate their emotions. Emotional regulation, therefore, is fundamental in avoiding making disastrous decisions that can lead to various consequences, the worst of which is death. In recent years, as I research and explore various sects in society involved in human trafficking, child predation, exploitation, and oppression, I have encountered numerous actors attempting to intimidate and prevent me from publishing my findings. One of the first tactics that is used is aggression. Shouting, screaming, cursing, and aggressive motifs, brandishing guns, knives, veiled and nuanced threats. However, when they encounter a person that does none of these things, nor is intimidated by such behaviors, and has made peace with the temporality of existence, their entire strategy falls apart, and they are forced to accept their weakness as a guiding factor of their nature. Those inclined to exploit children show psychological traits of weakness. That is, having mature conversations with biophysically mature adults is a challenge to them. Having mature, honest relationships and friendship require self-reflection, self-regulation, and accountability. Such mature relationships tend to show how much an individual is lacking either in maturity, intellectually, psychologically, or socially. It may be asserted that their psychological weakness permeates their entire existence, from their posture to their pronouns, how they carry themselves, to how they speak of themselves. They radiate weakness, and evolutionarily integrous women and men can see it, maybe even sense it. When they see it or sense it, they assert, "He or she is not my type." There is no attraction there because there is an apparent and obvious lack of psychological maturity. They tend to not seek permanent relationships with these weak types. They also avoid business partnerships with them. For both cases, the relationship or business partnership tend to fail because of the unrealistic goals of the psychologically immature and weak person. While researching and exploring this hidden black market, it was noted that the people who prey on the innocence of children tend to offer business advice while their business is failing. In fact, in one of the most bizarre cases researched, one particular child predator was encouraging other younger men to follow in his footsteps, while he had no accomplishments or nothing to show to them on his progress, while involved in the predation of young girls. His business was failing and had failed, while he was advising the young men to ignore gold mineral investments and focus on exploiting children. In fact, he was encouraging them to go after the innocent as a manipulation tactic because he himself was a senior citizen and was hoping that the younger guys would bring him young girls and teens. The young guys will bring girls, he will take the girls, and the young guys will have to get more girls, and he once again will take the girls. In essence, it was the most bizarre pyramid scheme I have ever witnessed. On top of that, the senior citizen was going more and more broke because he was plying the young girls with alcohol out of his bar and drugs. When he ran out of money, he would attract an older woman, whose money he would use to buy drugs and alcohol for young girls and teens. The entire practice was, as stated prior, the most bizarre pyramid scheme ever witnessed. Some of the older women actually believed that they were in a partnership with him, only to discover that even if they had helped him to obtain young girls, they will never be chosen or protected by him, as he simply was not interested to older women, nor was he capable of having an adult conversation with an older woman. His basic tactic was to play to a woman's vanity. However, when he met a woman who was confident and lacked vanity, he became enraged and abusive, simply because he had nothing to offer besides basic and vanity-based conversation. A woman requiring deep introspection and wisdom immediately notices his bravado and flattery for what it is. This made him angry and contentious towards the woman. This pattern has gone on for over 30 years. In the scriptures, it is stated to avoid persons who flatter or use flattery. Flattery has always been my pet peeve. Thus, these tactics outside of being unattractive, it makes any observant person notice that the person using flattery is either one, hopping that flattery is a commodity of trade, or two, thinks the person they are attempting to flatter needs it. Ultimately, this is why flattery is a pet peeve of mine. It is done with the assumption that I need flattery when I am confident in my capacities, including what I know and do not know, who I am and who I am not. Weak people use flattery as a resource and commodity. Moreover, they bank on the idea that a person has such low self-worth that they need to be flattered or constantly reassured, which indicates that fundamentally they are targeting women, girls, and children that they believe are broken. Which brings me to my most ardent point. Flattery is the currency they use to purchase broken people or people they perceive as broken. Thereby they invest in brokenness and they benefit from brokenness. In this regard, I have become a problem because I encourage women and young men to be whole and wholly who they are. I am not in the market for brokenness, nor do I support the broken state of being. If I need to encourage a woman to get in shape to avoid being exploited for their self-image and be considered a body-biased or body-shamming person, I gladly accept the stigma. I am strong and can handle it. What I refuse to handle are women who are given less because another views them as less. Weak people always target those they believe are less, simply because it is low-hanging fruits. Only weak people who hate challenging situations will set their eyes on low-hanging fruits and not reach for higher branches of integrity, humanity, decency, or capacities. This is due to a fundamental cowardice, and a coward cannot teach another how to be strong or fearless when they themselves operate in fear. Fear and cowardice tends to guide the discourse of power and strength. How many hearts a person breaks or families a person destroys does not make them strong. It makes them a butterfinger being, a glass-jaw jockey, and a fallacy on force. Breaking things does not display strength but weakness. In the real world, no intelligent or responsible person is handing a delicate or fragile object to someone who has no control over their body or hasn't mastered the use of their muscles. Weakness thus has a factorial connection to oppression and the perception of power. Those who are weak tend to use oppression and a facade, or rather their preconceived notion of power, to oppress the weak. Ultimately, it is the weak exploiting the weak. Scripturally, it is the dead burying the dead. That is, the morally dead burying the socio-politically dead. Thanks for listening. Select the next video for part 2, comment and share.